The quiet curse of Ntolo village. Ntolo was a village the world had forgotten. Nestled in the green arms of lowland forest and guarded by two wide rivers, Ntolo lived as it always had. The people were warm. The laughter of children danced on the wind like music. Old men carved drums under the tall iroko tree, and women sang as they pounded yam near clay huts. Smoke from cooking fires curled lazily into the sky. Birds sang. Goats bleated. Life was simple, and no one asked for more. But peace is like glass. One crack, and everything begins to shatter. It started during the harmattan season. The moon was round and silver, casting long shadows across the sleeping earth. That night, a young man named Toby did not return home. At first, the villagers thought he had gone to see his lover in the next village. But 3 days later, his body was found near the sacred grove, pale, cold, and dry like old wood. His eyes were wide open, mouth frozen in a silent scream. On his chest were dark marks burned into his skin. Symbols. Strange ones no one recognized. The elders called it river fever. They said the sickness came from bathing too late in the river. They buried Toby quickly. No questions. No chants. But then it happened again. Another man. Then another. All found during the full moon. All with symbols burned into their skin. All drained of blood. And no one had seen anything. The village changed. Laughter faded. Mothers whispered prayers under their breath. The old iroko no longer rang with drums. Children stayed indoors at dusk. Even the goats bleated less. Tande noticed it all. She was not like the other young women of Ntolo. She didn't laugh loudly or dance during market days. She didn't wear bright wrappers or chase men for attention. Tande was quiet. Gentle. A weaver by trade, she spent her days spinning thread and her nights with her younger brother, Ose, reading the old story cloths passed down by their grandmother. Ose had been her only family since their parents died in a canoe accident on the river. He was full of life, always humming, always curious. He was the only person who could make Tande smile. So when Ose disappeared during the next full moon, something inside her broke. They found him 2 days later, face down near the stream where the children once swam. Just like the others. Empty. Marked. Eyes wide. Tande didn't cry. Not in front of them. She stood silently as the villagers muttered about evil winds, about curses and spirits and the gods being angry. But Tande knew. This was not the river. This was something darker. And she would find it. 2 weeks passed. The village moved on as it always did. People had to eat. Goats had to be fed. Water had to be fetched. But the smiles never came back. One night, as the moon climbed halfway into the sky, Tande sat outside her hot spinning thread by oil lamp. The village was quiet. Too quiet. Even the night insects had hushed their songs. That's when she heard it. A soft tune. Humming. It wasn't a song she knew. The melody twisted strangely, as if it was being played backward. It made her skin crawl. She rose to her feet and walked silently toward the path near the old well. And there he was. A man she had never seen before. He wore a red tunic that looked too fine for a farmer. His skin was dark like roasted yam, his shoulders wide, his movements smooth. His face held a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He was humming. And walking barefoot through the sleeping village. She stepped behind a tree and watched him. When he passed, she noticed something odd. The dogs didn't bark. They ran away. His shadow was long, too long, and it didn't move like his body did. It lagged. It twisted. It flickered when he turned his head. He walked past her hut and vanished into the trees. She returned to her mat, but she couldn't sleep. By morning, The whole village was buzzing. The stranger had come to the chief's hut before dawn, claiming to be a traveler from a village across the river. His name was Malumo, he said. He had come looking for peace and work. He was a carver, a storyteller, a wanderer. But he was more than that. He was handsome in a way that made people pause. His teeth were white, his voice smooth like honey. When he laughed, people laughed with him, even the old grumpy men near the palm wine shed. The young women giggled behind their hands. The elders welcomed him warmly. The chief gave him a hut to sleep in and a job helping rebuild the broken granary. By midday, Malumo had made friends. By nightfall, he was sharing stories by the fire. Only Tande watched in silence. She noticed how flies avoided him. How he never touched salt. How he always wore red. She saw how animals refused to cross his path. How mirrors, yes, even the shiny river glass, cracked when he passed. And again, she saw his shadow. Once, while walking behind him on the market path, she saw it rise like smoke, then return to the ground. No one else noticed. No one else wanted to. They were too happy to have something new to talk about. Too eager to forget the deaths. Too tired of fear. But not Tande. That night, she sat outside her hut and watched Malumo from afar. He was sitting by the fire near the chief's compound, telling stories. His voice was deep and rhythmic. The children clapped. The elders nodded. The women leaned closer. But she saw something. His foot tapped in rhythm. But the shadow behind him was not tapping, it was coiling. Like a snake. Her skin turned cold. That night she didn't sleep. She stayed up reading her grandmother's story cloths, looking for anything, any clue, that could explain what she had seen. And she found one. An old tale, stitched in faded red thread. Beware the man who sings to snakes. He walks like a man, but carries a spirit. His eyes shine at night, and his shadow moves alone. He drains the life of others to feed the beast inside. Only the brave, with the lion's charm, can silence his song. Tande traced the red thread with trembling fingers. Could it be true? Could Malumo be the man from the story? She looked at the clay pot beside her bed. It held her grandmother's last gift, a small carved lion's tooth on a cord. She had never worn it. Until now. The next morning, another man was missing. Depo, a palm wine tapper who had laughed with Malumo by the fire just 2 nights before. His body was found in the forest. Pale. Marked. Eyes wide. And this time, the marks on his chest were clearer. Tande sketched them in the dirt. They matched the ones on Ose. And the ones on Toby. Circular. Twisted. Like snakes eating their own tails. But still, the village didn't ask questions. They just buried him. More prayers. More silence. Tande stood beside the grave and clenched her fist. She would not be silent. Not anymore. That night, she followed him. She wrapped herself in a dark cloth and crept through the sleeping village. The moon was full again, silver and high. The same moon that had watched her brother die. She followed the strange tune. The humming. It led her to the edge of the forest. There, Malumo stood alone under a fig tree. His back to her. His arms raised. He was whistling now. A strange, cold melody. Then she saw it. From the ground, something moved. A dark shape. Long slithering. A serpent. It rose slowly beside him, black and shining under the moonlight. Its eyes glowed red. It didn't hiss or strike. It simply waited. Malumo turned and placed his hand on its head. Tande gasped. His hand was glowing. So was the serpent. She stumbled back and stepped on a dry twig. Snap. Malumo turned sharply. "Who's there?" he called. His voice no longer smooth, it was sharp. "Angry." Tande froze. She held the lion tooth tight in her hand. The serpent's eyes turned toward her. And then, like a puff of wind, both Malumo and the serpent vanished into the trees. Tande ran all the way home, her breath catching in her throat. She locked the door, closed every window. Then she sat on her mat, shaking. She now knew. Malumo was not just a stranger. He was the serpent man. And she was the only one who had seen it. The curse in Tolo was not from the river. It walked on two legs. It smiled with perfect teeth. It whistled at night. And its name was Malumo, the song of the river and the snake's shadow. When Tande was a little girl, her grandmother used to tell her stories under the palm lamp. Some stories were sweet, with trickster animals and laughing spirits. But one story always made Tande sit up straight, her heart tight in her chest. "Beware the man with a snake in his soul," her grandmother would whisper, her wrinkled fingers tracing invisible patterns in the air. "He walks like a man, but death dances inside him. He sings not with lips, but with poison. His song calls the darkness." Back then, Tande had giggled nervously, hiding under her wrapper. "Snakes can't sing," she'd say. Her grandmother only smiled, sadly. "Oh, but shadows can." Now, years later, those words echoed inside her like thunder. The next morning, the village was noisy. But it wasn't about Depo's death anymore. It was about Fari, the daughter of the cloth merchant. She had been seen laughing with Malumo near the river the evening before. Now she was gone. The village searched, by the riverside, in the forest, behind the chief's compound. By sunset, they found her. Face down. Pale. Her mouth frozen open. Like the others. But this time, there was something new. Tande was there when they lifted the body. Near Fari's hand, half hidden in the mud and reeds, was a small black flute. No one else noticed it. But Tande did. She reached down and quietly slipped it into her satchel before anyone could see. Her heart pounded. That evening, she walked alone to the edge of the village where the sacred flame trees grew. There stood the oldest woman in Tolo, Mama Kisiwa, the village oracle. Some said she was over 100 years old. Others said she had no age at all. Her hut was surrounded by bones, feathers, and woven charms. Smoke drifted from the doorway, carrying a strange, sweet scent. Mama Kisiwa sat inside, her eyes white with age but bright with something deeper. "You have seen it," the old woman said before Tande could speak. Tande nodded slowly and placed the black flute before her. "I saw him in the forest," she whispered. "There was a snake. It came from him. Like a shadow. It listens to him." Mama Kisiwa touched the flute with a bony finger. Her face darkened. "This is no music for human ears," she muttered. "This is a serpent's tongue, carved from the horn of a demon goat." She looked up at Tande with grave eyes. "You must listen carefully, child. The evil that walks our land now has returned from far older times. It wears charm like clothing. It hides behind smiles. It feeds on warmth and trust." Tande shivered. "Can I fight it?" she asked. "No," Mama Kisiwa said. "Not alone. The man you saw is not fully man. He is a host. The true spirit, what the old ones called Ezra, lives inside him. It sings through him. Kills through him. Then what do I do?" Mama Kisiwa reached into a gourd tied with red twine and pulled out a carved lion tooth on a black cord. "This will protect you from the spirit's bite," she said. "The lion hunts by truth. The serpent by lies. You must learn the true name of the one inside him. It is the only way to stop him." Tande took the charm with trembling hands. His flute, Mama Kisiwa added, pointing to the object on the mat. That is his voice. Destroy it, and you silence his power. But beware, he will know when it's broken. Tande nodded, clutching the lion tooth. I will not let him take anyone else. Mama Kisiwa smiled faintly. You have the fire of your grandmother. But fire can burn its own hand. The next day, Malumo walked through the village like nothing had happened. He smiled. He greeted mourners. He helped carry water for the grieving family. The young women still laughed near him, though their eyes were less bright now. The men still praised him, though they spoke softer. Tande watched from afar. He was clever. Dangerous. More careful now. But she noticed something strange. He didn't speak much that day. His voice was quieter. Was he looking for the flute? That night, Tande did not go home. Instead, she waited until the moon rose, high and full once more. She followed the tune again. Not sung this time, but hummed, low, broken, like a man nursing a wound. It led her deep into the forest. Deeper than before. And there, she saw it again. Malumo stood in a small clearing lit only by moonlight. His body shimmered, as if wet with sweat, or something else. He whispered words she could not understand. And from his back, the serpent emerged. It did not crawl this time. It rose, straight and slow, like smoke in reverse. It was massive now, easily the length of 3 men. Its scales shimmered black-blue. Its head moved like it was listening. It flicked its tongue, and Tande felt its heat from where she crouched in the bushes. Malumo extended his arms, and the serpent coiled around him like a lover. His eyes turned dark as ink. His feet left the ground. The snake lifted him. He was floating. Tande clamped her hand over her mouth to keep from screaming. She took a single step back, and her sandal snapped. Snap! The serpent's head turned. Malumo froze. Who's there? He hissed. The forest went silent. Tande turned and ran. Through the underbrush, over roots, through bramble. She scraped her arm. Her foot bled. But she didn't stop. She didn't stop until she reached her hut, locked the door, and collapsed to the ground. She wept. But not from fear. From rage. In the morning, she returned to Mama Kisiwa with the broken sandal and the scratches on her arms. The old woman sighed. He knows now, she said. He will search for the one who saw. You must act fast. Tande showed her the lion tooth charm she now wore around her neck. What is his true name? She asked. Mama Kisiwa rose slowly and went to the back of her hut, pulling out a scroll wrapped in snakeskin. These were stories kept by my mother's mother. Old ones. Too dangerous to be told to children. She opened it. There, in faded ink and strange symbols, was a name, Ezrazu. Tande felt a chill run through her. That is the name of the serpent spirit, Mama Kisiwa said. Call it by name, and it will lose its skin. But only when it is weak. If you call it too soon, it will turn on you. Tande nodded. What weakens it? Mama Kisiwa smiled faintly. Loneliness. Silence. Loss of voice. Tande reached into her bag and pulled out the black flute. Then, without another word, she snapped it in half across her knee. A sound like a scream, not from her mouth, but from the air itself, ripped through the hut. The walls shook. Candles flickered. Somewhere deep in the forest, Malumo screamed. That night, the village was quiet again. Too quiet. No fires. No laughter. Even the animals hid. Tande waited, heart pounding, knife under her pillow. The lion tooth around her neck felt warm. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. A knock on the door. She froze. Tande, came Malumo's voice. I know you're awake. She said nothing. I want to talk, he said softly. Please. Still, she remained silent. More knocks. Then a whisper, low and sharp. You've seen what's mine. You've touched what you shouldn't. Tande stood and walked slowly to the door. Through the crack, she saw his face. It was pale now. Sweating. His smile was gone. You don't belong here, she said, voice steady. This village is not yours to bleed. He growled. Not like a man. Like something else. Return the flute, he hissed. Before I take what's left of your soul. Tande reached through the crack and held up the broken pieces of the flute. I destroyed it, she said. And I know your name, Ezrazu. Malumo reeled back as if slapped. His eyes turned black. His skin rippled like boiling water. I'll end you, he snarled. Before the Zuberi paused. Tande's breath hitched. So Malumo is a descendant of Ngozi. Zuberi nodded. The serpent is not just inside him. It is him. It's his inheritance. Passed down, hidden, fed by charm and deception. Each generation, it grows hungrier. Tande felt the weight of it settle on her chest. Is there no way to end it? Zuberi reached for a small mirror carved from obsidian and handed it to her. When the lion looks in the mirror, it does not see the hunter, but the hunted. If you want to break him, make him see. Beneath the snake is a man. Find him. Tande held the mirror close, her hands trembling. Zuberi added softly, but be warned. Sometimes, the man inside is too far gone. And sometimes, the serpent is all that's left. That night, she returned to her hut and wrapped the mirror in cloth. She planned her move. Malumo had not fled. Not truly. He was waiting. Watching. She knew where he would go. The river. The one place where all things began and ended in Tolo. She wore the lion tooth, carried the obsidian mirror in one hand and a small dagger in the other. When she found him, he was kneeling in the water, shirtless, humming to himself. Even without the flute, the hum carried a strange pull. His back shimmered, marked with scars that seemed to move. He turned and smiled, his eyes glowing faintly. You broke my song, he said gently. But it didn't silence me. I know what you are, Tande replied. Ngozi's blood. The serpent's shadow. Malumo stood. And what are you, Tande? A girl with teeth. With dreams too big for her bones. She didn't answer. Instead, she raised the mirror. Malumo laughed. You think a piece of stone will stop me? But when he looked into it, his laughter died. He staggered back. The water around him rippled. For a moment, his reflection shimmered, not as Malumo, but as something twisted. A man with a serpent's head. Fangs. Eyes full of sorrow. He screamed. The air cracked. The snake burst from his chest again, roaring and riding, aiming for Tande. She raised the lion tooth. It glowed gold. The serpent struck, but missed. The charm repelled it like flame. Its mouth smoked. Its body hissed. Tande slashed with her dagger, catching Malumo's side. He screamed again, his voice both human and inhuman. She ran. The forest shook. Branches cracked. But the charm still glowed, and she escaped, barely. That night, her sleep was restless. But in the early hours, a dream came. A woman of light and leaves stood before her. Her skin was emerald, her hair a cascade of vines. Her eyes were endless wells of grief and fire. Malika. You seek to end what I began, the goddess whispered. Tande knelt. I only want peace. For him. For the village. Malika's voice echoed with wind and water. Then hear me. You cannot slay what was born of sorrow with hatred.